There's a documentary on Netflix called Pepsi, Where's My Jet? And it's about a guy who back in 1995 saw an ad that came out and was televised all across the US, right? And this ad offered customers a chance to receive gifts through a promotional program called Pepsi Stuff. It was a simple promo. You buy Pepsi, you get points. You redeem those points for various gifts and prizes. Things like a pair of glasses or a Pepsi t-shirt, duffel bag, or even a leather jacket. Now, these were the typical items people went for, right? But the grand prize in that commercial, in that same ad, for 7 million points was a Harrier jet. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what a Harrier jet is, it is basically the ultimate war fighter jet, capable of flying backwards, landing vertically, and various other types of crazy maneuverability, all right? Not typically associated with aircrafts. And so everybody thought to themselves, well, this has to be a joke, because it's too ridiculous to be true. At that time, a Harrier jet cost over $30 million, and you couldn't buy just one. You had to buy them in groups of 6. Now keep in mind, this was televised across TVs everywhere. And the problem was that although they never thought anybody would take that commercial ad seriously, someone did. A guy by the name of John Leonard. And so John devised a plan to get those 7 million points, and all of a sudden, the joke that Pepsi meant to be fun and advertised as a gag item was being taken very seriously. And because they didn't put a disclaimer on that commercial, John was able to build a case and sue Pepsi in court for his Harrier jet. And I tell that story because a lot of you are wondering how somebody could possibly take something that was quote unquote meant to be a joke seriously. And they set the number at 7 million points because they wanted it to be a goal that was so far out of reach that no one would actually go for it, but low enough to where they believed it was still attainable. So in this case, would I say that that particular advertisement was a scam? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because from the get-go, they never intended to deliver on their ad. It was never meant to be taken seriously, although it was pitched as such. Now, someone out there is going to try and point out,
but Established Titles did include a disclaimer on the website.
But why wasn't it included in the sales pitch? Furthermore, if this was all about a fun joke all along, then why use words that they knew would help entice customers into purchasing a product that they otherwise wouldn't have if it was pitched as a gag gift? And in this case, I'm talking about the words official and legal, both of which have been used by both the company and YouTubers reading from the shitty script that they were given. But the truth is that no matter how plainly it's presented, there will always be someone that will defend shit like this because at the end of the day, they only give a fuck about the paycheck. Like this idiot here. And before I absolutely Exodia obliterate this bitch and banish her to the shadow realm, let me make this very clear that I'm not making this video to defend Scott Schaefer. I don't know the guy, and he's a grown-ass man with what seems like a pretty good IQ, so I'm sure he can defend himself just fine. This is more so about trying to drive home the point of why it's almost irresponsible to listen to certain people who think like this.
I first want to address the massive elephant in the room because today's video was again supposed to be sponsored by our favorite sponsor over here, which is Established Titles. They've been supporting my channel for close to half a year now.
So off the top, she makes it plain that she's biased and has a financial obligation to support the Established Titles bullshit. So I'm sure that whatever it is that she's about to say won't be swayed in any one way or the other, right? But let's continue.
And recently, a creator posted a video about Established Titles that was just completely baseless accusations against the company.
Baseless accusations against the company, she says. By the way, Established Titles did respond to Scott Schaefer's video. And do you want to know what they didn't do? They didn't say he was lying. If anything, they confirmed somewhat reluctantly, that they are in fact selling people bullshit gag gifts that are just for fun, which is a far cry from the sales pitch that all of these content creators have pitched. See, anytime you have to be deceptive in selling a product, then it's because it's most likely not going to sell if you outright tell people the truth. And that is, by its definition, deception, and therefore should be considered a goddamn scam. But here you have it. Yet another YouTuber who doesn't give a shit about what she's pushing on her channel because she's getting paid. So, of course it's not a scam, guys. There's a channel I came across with a guy named Sully, S-U-L-L-Y. I'll link to it below. But please go watch his video, because in it, he says how he was offered $3,500 to do the established titles promo. And said within 5 minutes of looking them up, he knew it was a scam. And though $3,500 is a nice piece of change for one ad placement, he said, he valued his relationship with his followers more.
But long story short, Established Titles is a shell company for Galton Voicey, which is a company based out of Hong Kong. Through Established Titles, you are able to purchase plots of land in Scotland, which would then allow you to use the title of Lord or Lady on your official documentation. This is based off of an old Scottish tradition that any landowner is considered a lord or a lady. Now that's the first issue with Established Titles. Scotland has come out many times in the past saying that these souvenir plots hold no merit and do not give you the right to use the titles of Lord or Lady. The Court of the Lord line has even had to make a statement in the past saying, ownership of a souvenir plot of land is not sufficient to bring a person otherwise ineligible within the jurisdiction of the Lord line for seeking a coat of arms. So basically, just because you own a single square foot of land somewhere in Scotland does not make you a lord or a lady. And yet, Established Titles will gladly sell you a PDF certificate for $50 to accomplish just that. Or in case you wanted to buy 5 square feet of land, which by the way does not change the status or hierarchy of your titles, it's only $209. Now the reason I'm still making this video, even though a ton of people have already covered it, is because A, I think it's important to spread the word about this scam and to hold creators accountable, and B, I have a little bit of extra insight into this sponsorship that I have not seen mentioned anywhere else. That's because back on October 5th of this year, I was contacted by a representative from Audiensely, which is a company that contacts creators with possible sponsorship opportunities. They were pitching Established Titles at the time and were willing to pay me $3,500 for a single 60-second ad integration. Now, whenever I get a sponsorship offer, I go out of my way to either download the product, test the product out, or at the bare minimum, do some research into what I'm promoting. Legitimately, within 2 minutes of looking this thing up, I found articles talking about how it's a scam, forum posts discussing how it's a scam, and groups of people complaining that they got scammed. So it was a very easy decision to send out an email declining the offer. Now don't get me wrong, $3,500 is a lot of money for a sponsorship like this, and it sucks to have to turn it down. But at the same time, I feel the relationship I've built with my audience over the years is much more important than that. So I sent a reply back to the representative that originally contacted me and said, hey, I feel like this is a scam and I don't feel comfortable promoting this. And when they responded, they really did not seem too concerned with the accusation I just floated. So I wouldn't be surprised if Audiensely had been told before that this might be a scam, because they seemed very quick to brush it off just because they wanted to get their hands on a cut of that sweet, sweet sponsor money. I'm not under contract, so I can plainly say Established Titles is a scam. This Scottish company is actually based out of Hong Kong. They claim to own plots of land in Scotland, which, even if that's true, does not give them the right to sell it, to give out the titles of Lord and Lady. On top of that, they claim to plant a tree for every single purchase that's made, which is equally dubious of a claim because they have never provided a single shred of evidence that they've ever planted a single tree. Now, I posted something to Twitter last night that I ended up deleting because it was getting a lot of hate, but it's something I've been thinking about all day, so I still want to share it with you. The thought I had was that any creator who fell for this scam should not be in the position to accept sponsorships. And I'll explain that. It took me a maximum of 5 minutes to look up the company and find out it was a scam, which means all these creators blindly accepted this sponsorship without looking into it. Now, people have been saying, oh, you know, my partner manager is the one who brings me sponsors, and I assumed they vet the sponsors, and so by the time they get on my desk, they're all good to go. And I find that equally concerning because that means you're putting your blind trust into a person who has the financial incentive for you to take this deal, and then not putting any of your own research into it. I honestly think that if you didn't put any effort into researching this product that you were supposed to be promoting and just carelessly accepted the sponsorship deal, you should not have the privilege of promoting products to your audience of millions.
Oh, could you imagine that? Could you imagine caring more about your followers than the money? Did you hear that, Graham? This guy, Graham, by the way, made an apology video talking about how he cares so much about his followers, but apparently not enough to do any amount of fucking research on the shit he's advertising on his own fucking channel. But now, let's get back to this delusional piece of work here. Raleigh, or whatever the fuck her name is.
And against all of the creators that work with this company, including myself, all he does is make videos trying to drag people and stir up controversy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, this guy is the reason why so many companies will not sponsor YouTubers.
She says this guy is the reason a lot of companies won't sponsor YouTubers, right after saying she's been under the stupid ass established title sponsorship for half a year now. Oh, and by the way, there are plenty of YouTubers coming out saying that established titles isn't asking them to leave or stop sponsoring. If anything, they're trying to keep them on board. But okay.
The reason I'm addressing this is because I take scams very seriously, and I vet every single company that I work with before working with them on this channel. I am not going to promote something to you guys if I consider that it's a scam. Trust me, I've turned down so many sponsorships, and I'm also really protective over sponsors that are really, really great and supportive of my channel and a lot of other creators' channels, and they help fund and keep our channels going. So to call a massive sponsor that's a big supporter of YouTube creators a scam is just really disheartening, especially when it's completely baseless accusations. They go on to say you can officially change your name to Lord or Lady. This, again, does not mean that this is legal. To base your entire video and premise an accusation of this company being a scam around a few content creators misinterpreting some of the talking points, again, that's just absurd and completely ridiculous. And I also want to say that established titles in no way asked me to make this video. You get people who are salty about not being sponsored, who sit down and have nothing better to do but just make baseless accusations in a video. I mean, for somebody to blatantly sit down and lie about a company and tell every single person that it's a scam, and not only that, but post a list of other creators to go and attack, is just unbelievable.
Wrong again. Scott didn't post a list of other creators to go and attack. He actually says right there in the comment section with a huge red stop sign emoji next to it that this list isn't for people to go and attack content creators on the list. And for someone who uses the stance that, oh, he's just salty because he didn't get a sponsorship and he can't read, I just find it really hilarious that you didn't bother to do any reading yourself. If established titles wants everyone to know that they are really just selling you useless pieces of paper that don't really mean anything at all, they should probably stop using the word official. The word official carries a general understanding that something is legit or legally sanctioned by some authoritative rule of government. Or am I off in that? When someone says, I'm officially hired, do you automatically think that they really mean that they're just hired as a temp? I doubt it. But you know what? Beyond all that, and beyond this chick being a shill for money, here's how you know this company is full of shit. They removed their video. Oh, what? Yo, oh my God. Yes, established titles completely removed their YouTube ad video. Now, why would someone who feels as if they are completely in the right do something like that? It's because they don't want any trace or footage of them telling people that they have been legally given some form of status, which is about a third of their entire sales pitch. These guys were telling people that they were legally given the title of Lord or Lady, and that's a lie. And for you people out there that struggle with the definition of legal and official, we'll read them together so that there's absolute clarity. Legal, meaning number 1, permitted by law or lawful. Number 2, of or relating to law, connected with the law or its administration. Number 3, appointed, established, or authorized by law, deriving authority from law. Let's read the definition for official. A person appointed or elected to an office or charged with certain duties. Number 2, of or relating to an office or position of duty, trust, or authority. Number 3, authorized or issued authoritatively. Number 4, holding office. Number 5, appointed or authorized to act in a designated capacity. And number 6, of an activity or event intended for the notice of the public and performed or held on behalf of officials or of an organization. My question is, why do people need to pay $50 to become a fake lord or lady when they can technically just go type up that shit in a document in Microsoft Office on some fancy paper and achieve the same outcome with 95% less money involved? And if all you shills really care about is
Donating to reforestation efforts,
like you claim, then why do you need to sell your viewers off to a third party to do so when you can just contribute to any number of actual global programs directly at any time? If this project had been called unestablished titles, there wouldn't be a problem at all. But it's much harder to get people to come up off of that cash when you lead with that headline, ain't it?
This guy clearly made this video just to get attention. I wanted to make this just to say that I'm not going to discontinue working with established titles. Needless to say, I hope that that guy gets sued, but that's just me.
Come and climb aboard. Everything is worse when we lead with the sword. I can only judge by your heart what your mouth say. With a grain of salt, I'ma take it for your mouth's sake. Niggas follow greed, ain't no seeds being planted. These people never learn till they feeding the planet. Sleeping 6 feet, death is creeping at your doorstep. This feast is far from over, have a seat, don't you toast yet. I got some shit to learn, you grab your keys, cock your burners. This life is so cold, cop you please stop the furnace.